How's that? Hey, we're going to make a template today for you to use to make some seed paper. Okay? Hi, John Todd Redding, Mr. Todd. And we're getting to show you how to make a template to make a piece of a postcard. Excuse me. Seed paper. We're going to do it out of egg cartons. We went up for some other materials out of the trash and found 24 packs of egg cartons in the trash too. So we tear them up, blend them up, warm water, and mix seeds in them, and then set them in this template. And when it's sun-dried, you have a nice little postcard that you can mail off to somebody of wildflowers or food seeds or tree seeds, whatever you want. And this is an effort to recognize that we make a lot of waste from using animals for food. And as a vegan, I always support alternatives and advocate and educate that you recognize that we do a lot of waste from being carnivores. And it's a really big problem. And I want to try and find ways for you to recognize that and hope that you can change the way that you eat to help save the earth. So what we're going to do first is take our materials, set them aside, and find the middle of our piece of cardboard. We know that this is 12 and another 2 inches over here, so 7 is the center. And with my little T-square here, I'm going to go ahead and just mark a line across that so I know that's my center. And I'm going to cut through my cardboard right on that line. And I'm not going to cut all the way through. I'm just going to bend it over like so. So I missed a little bit. That's okay. What you're going to do now is just simply take your ruler and you want to make a postcard. So we have a postcard here from the past that I have. And if you measure it out, postcards are 6 by 4. So, if you come in an inch or so off the border, maybe 2 even, you'll see this is 6 to here. So maybe you better make that way 4 and this way 6, right? So, you could come in 2 and 8, and that'll give you a 6-inch postcard that way. And over here, let's go with how about 1.5 and 5.5. That'll give you a 4-inch postcard that way. You can simply take and draw your lines through. Go ahead and get my cap back on my marker there. Now, as you see, I did that with this flap here. That'll allow me to cut through this layer and have a backing layer to protect my table. Okay, so you can use a razor knife. Anybody who's too young to use a razor knife, an adult should do it for them. So you can cut to the inside or the outside on something like this. It doesn't matter. What you want is good strength off your little T there so that you stay with your straight line. Maybe cut through twice. Very lightly so you don't go through that second layer. Notice how I'm starting and stopping at the crosshair points. Those are called crosshairs. You don't want to overcut. I haven't even cut all the way through. So now I need to cut all the way through. Right, and then you can just pop out that center. That center is a great piece to save for the cardboard self-portraits. They do a mini portrait first. You can do that on here before they do their larger portrait. You can just clean these edges up a little bit. And there you have it. This is going to be our stencil, our template for our seed paper. And so now it's time to do a little bit of writing. We did some math. Now let's do some writing. First thing I like to do is, let's get my name on there. And let's call it my seed template. So what's cool about this is it's reusable. And for our purposes with younger kiddos, what we're going to do is you would tape this down and they would take it home and place it in the sun and let it dry out. You don't want to send the kids away with a piece of paper that's wet, it'll just fall apart, so you have them walk out the door with that. Okay, for this next part, we are going to show you making the paper, and I want to start out with taping down the flap for starters, and then we'll put that aside. And what you do is you just pull out enough tape that you'll need and make a flap so that you can pull this tape later. And all I do is run down this side here, do the top, do the edge, do the bottom, and you don't need to necessarily fold that over. You can probably pull this off if you want somehow, and then just set that to the side. So now what you're going to need are several things, and we'll bring them into the screen, put them off to the side, and then use them. What I have here is a small ramekin full of wildflower seeds, seeds I've collected this fall from different flower gardens, including my own and parks. But you could use any kinds of seeds. You could do, maybe you want to do some watermelon seeds, or here we have some spinach seeds, also maybe some parsley seeds or something like that. You want to take your seeds and mix them together, you can do that. The purpose is to create a piece of paper that has seeds in it that can be torn up and planted, so the density can be thick or heavy. And you want to think about who you're giving it to, any of those things. So what we do first is we're going to take this little pail here and we're going to make our pulp. And today we're using an egg carton. This was donated by McDonald's. I went in and asked for it. I found some in their trash the other day. The neat thing about this is pressed paper. You don't have to add anything to it. You just need to tear it apart. The things that you're going to do is you're going to tear it apart and put it in a bucket. So let's get started with that. And it's real easy, and the kids just love to tear it apart. Anybody does. Let's call this your anger management. So just tear all that up and get it in there. And see, I'm not tearing it into real tiny pieces, but I'm certainly not going to leave it too big either. Okay, a little more. And of course, you can keep tearing it later. Now, if you're a power junkie, you can use a blender to do this. I suggest with kids you don't. I suggest you do everything without energy as much as possible. Save your energy needs for more functional reasons. So after that, you can just simply, like you're cooking, pour in your flower seeds. Now my seeds have flower shrapnel in them. There's different parts of the flowers in there, and they kind of adds color or little texture to your paper. So they don't have to be perfectly clean seeds. Then I'm just going to add a cup of water. And I'm going to start mixing that up. We're going to grab another cup of water for this batch. And a second cup of water. So that looks like 2 cups for that batch, just to get enough moisture to be able to pulp it up. And you're just going to tear that all up and grind it into pieces. If you have things that you don't want in there, take it out. You can use egg cartons. The reasons I like these 24 packs is because there's no ink. Typically, I'm sure they're using a vegetable ink on something like this because it's cheap and biodegradable if you're using a store-bought egg carton. So this is going to take you a little bit of time. So do it until you have a nice pulp and you've torn it all up. And once we get to that point, we'll turn the camera back on and show you what to do next. Okay, I had the camera off. I'm going to tell you about 2 to 3 minutes that I was going through and just mulching that up and twisting it up, hand blending the seeds and the paper back into paper pulp. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm using a coffee filter. You can use a spaghetti filter or something, but you can actually press some of that water out of there. Just take and squeeze on there and try and get some of the water out. Okay, and we've got, well, let's say a little handful of ball size. Then you're going to take your template. Make sure you got it taped down. If you need to do 3 sides, do 3 sides. You can have to cut it with scissors later or something. It's nice if you can leave a tab on it. Let's go ahead and do the other side. Put a pull tab on it. Make sure that tape doesn't go over my template area. So then all you're going to do is take your paper that you've gotten some of the water out of and push it into the template. And what you want to do is just do it until you think you have enough to complete filling in the entire template. You can even use too much. Take some back out. Okay, so what you want to make sure is that there's no holes in the center of your pulp. That you fill in everything and just keep pressing and pressing and pressing until you feel you've done a good job at filling in the entire template. Okay? Okay, now, what you have is the original piece that you took out of there. You can lay that on there and take a rolling pin and roll each direction. You can hold that down, clean your edges off, throw that pulp back in to the batch. Remember, it's probably full of seeds, so you can save that for another postcard. Line that up. I'm going to keep pulling off the excess needed. Pull that cardboard off. You can see it's wet, but you can dry that and use it, like I said, for the small self-portrait on cardboard. So there's your paper. What you're going to do with that is take it and put it in the sun to dry as much as 2 or 3 days. when you get it back and it's done, it'll be like this. This is some I did by hand. Okay? So I didn't really do it with the template. I just did it by hand on that one. But you could just take it then and maybe write a little message on it. The other one's designed to be a mailable postcard. I always like to hand these to people. You could draw pictures on them, do whatever you want, not do anything, just tell them about it. And there you have it. Very quick, easy project. We'll show you some more when this one's dry. We'll record and pull it apart.